Way forward after a fire destroyed a nursing home. And the Pitt State women's basketball team tonight plays in the NCAA Tournament Regional Final. And we have the highlights. KOIM News at 10 is next. Now at 10, what's next for the Yates Center community after a fire destroyed a nursing home on Friday? Plus, the Heritage Trail in Joplin unveils 2 new additions to its legacy project. And the Carthage Public Library hosts a movie day for kids of all ages.
The 4 states' most watched news starts now.
Residents of Yates Center, Kansas came together tonight to discuss strategies to rebuild and revitalize a community nursing home. This is KOIM News at 10. I'm Dow Quick. That nursing home was destroyed by fire Friday. KOIM's Lonnie Walton was at tonight's meeting where community members gathered to discuss a plan for moving forward.
I watched 12 years of my career go in less than 16 to 12 minutes.
Shantae Wool is a physical therapist assistant at Yates Center Health and Rehab. She had no idea that last Friday would change her life forever. She says she was alerted by administration.
We were so lucky that we had some of our administration outside actually cleaning the yard and seeing that, that the fires were out there. So they jumped to action. It was like jet fuel though.
And jet fuel it was, and so was the community's reaction.
Residents and talked with them and kept them entertained until we got them to their relocating.
Shantae says it took about 12 minutes to remove all patients.
Nobody could work fast enough. The community is the only reason why it worked out. It was a miracle.
But why did it happen and what's being done about it? City Councilman Lyle Key says it started from a totally different property. At the meeting, he says they may have to change locations.
That particular site has always presented a problem with prairie fires, so we may be looking at other property within the city or near the city.
And there were several other things discussed at the meeting, like having an infusion center or a place for dementia patients. He says everyone's help is useful.
We're trying to get all the entities together, the city, the county, the nursing home, state of Kansas, federal grants, just bringing everybody together.
And Key and Wool say everyone is together and will be together, and they're very thankful for them.
To make everything so much better, and it has to do with this community, it takes every single one of us. When it comes to long-term care, you can't do it by yourself.
Reporting in Kansas, I'm Lonnie Walton, KOIM News.
During the fire, emergency crews evacuated about 50 residents from that nursing home. No one in the nursing home was injured. Let's check in with Chief Meteorologist Doug Heading now for a first look at the weather.
Yeah, and that fire danger continued today and continues again tomorrow as the winds are going to be up there and the humidity is still going to be fairly low. So with warm and windy conditions today, 77 for a high, started at 41, 60 is our average, so a good chunk above. In fact, not far from the record of 82 set back in 82. It's still mild, 67 in Joplin, also in Pittsburgh. We're just not going to drop off too much tonight due to those winds. Look at these southerly winds, 10 to about 15 to 20 miles per hour. The gusts will stay up tonight. Fire weather warning again in effect for us as we go into the daytime hours for us tomorrow due to those high winds. Again, very similar to what we saw today. Gusts 30, 35, 40, maybe 43-ish during the afternoon hours. Colder air works in on Wednesday. We're going to look at that here in a bit.
Catching a few. It seems there's some confusion surrounding the upcoming election in Goodman, Missouri. 2 candidates are running for both Goodman mayor and for South Ward alderman. The McDonald County Clerk's office is pointing voters to a Missouri statute that disallows a party candidate from running for more than one office. However, it's allowed on this ballot because it's a nonpartisan municipal election. Missouri Secretary of State's office told us the situation is a gray area on just what's allowed. You can always find this story and more election news by scanning the code you see here. We also have resources for deadlines. While Missouri and Oklahoma deadlines to register have passed for the April 8th election, Kansas residents have through tomorrow to register to vote. KOIMNewsNow.com has resources for all of the 4 state areas, such as polling places and election dates. The 2024 Officer of the Year is a proud member of the Parsons, Kansas Police Department, receiving the honor for a second time. Sergeant Detective Bryce Dickens received the honor from the Veterans of Foreign Wars Post 704. Sergeant Dickens played a pivotal role in a multi-agency effort targeting the illegal distribution of narcotics in southeast Kansas. The VFW Post says by honoring Sergeant Dickens for a second time, it acknowledges the lasting impact he's had on crime reduction, community engagement, and investigative success. A group of adults with disabilities presented a check to some Southwest Missouri veterans today. They had been collecting donations for a week and managed to raise more than $1,800. They're associated with Easter Seals Midwest in Joplin. The nonprofit says the occasion shows anyone can be a community leader.
Well, I felt that it was really awesome how we were raising the money, even in the hot sun.
It brings me joy and happiness, because without the assistance of each other as part of a community, it actually does amazing. It does open people's eyes to what's really out there as opportunity.
Easter Seals has been helping people with disabilities and their families for more than 100 years. The Carthage Public Library invited kids of all ages out for more than popcorn, but for a movie today. It was part of the Spring Break at the Library program. In addition to the movie, kids could also enjoy free popcorn, candy, and drinks. The library also encourages moviegoers to dress in costume.
Programs cost any funds this week. Of course, we may have limited seating. You know, if we hit the max capacity of the room, we'll have to close the doors, of course.
Do a whole lot there. In addition to books, the library has a full week of events planned to celebrate spring break. On Tech Tuesday, tomorrow, the kids can come out and play with some robots. Wednesday features an all-ages story time. And on Thursday, the library is planning what they call a book tasting, whatever that is. It features author Roland Smith. The Pitt State women's basketball team continues its quest for an NCAA title. John Dales has the latest from John Lance Arena. That'll be coming up in sports. But up first, a group of people in Leavenworth look to bring a cemetery from the 1800s back to life.
At Ashley, we're celebrating 80 years of innovation with 0% interest for 80 months. Only at Ashley.
The city of Joplin unveiled some new additions to its legacy project called the Heritage Trail. The additions are storyboards. One of the storyboards tells the story of John C. Cox, one of the earliest settlers of Joplin, considered a father of Joplin. The storyboard is placed near a house where John C. Cox lived. The second storyboard is called The Unrest. It's about the tensions that existed between mining camps. These markers are the 8th and 9th Heritage Trail markers to be placed.
We're really honored. I mean, it's important, I think, for every community to know and preserve its history.
Again, that was the great-great-grandson of John C. Cox, and he says it's a great opportunity to learn about history. The Greenwood Cemetery in Leavenworth, Kansas is one of the oldest in the Sunflower State. Established in 1863, many of the headstones suffer from deterioration and age. Nathan Brennan introduces us to a preservation commission tasked with bringing these headstones back to life.
If you walk through the Greenwood Cemetery in Leavenworth, you'll find several hundred headstones, each one telling a different story.
We record the inscription on the headstone.
But it's the untold stories Jim Claunch and his team are trying to find.
Survey lot by lot the cemetery to identify where people are buried so we can help others with their research.
Jim is one of the founding members of the Greenwood Cemetery Preservation Commission. Using this gadget, a shovel, and spray bottle, his team locates, refurbishes, and restores grave markers.
There's more headstones that are damaged either through weather, time, and in some cases vandalism.
He says it's a lot of work for a small team, but the discoveries are more than worth it.
Industrialists, pioneers, soldiers, immigrants, former slaves from Kentucky. A lot of important people are buried out here.
This is William Tholen. He was the first state treasurer of Kansas, but never served a day.
That's Leavenworth County Attorney Todd Thompson. His great-great-great-uncle is buried right alongside his great-great-great-grandmother. But he didn't know until about a year ago.
We knew that they had to be somewhere in this location, obviously, because we knew that they were buried in Leavenworth, and part of my relatives are in a different cemetery.
Todd has since shown his kids the gravesite, teaching them some history along the way.
A gift to the future that we can continue to have our lineage represented and understood and appreciated and loved.
And it's discoveries like these that keep Jim and his team going.
People wanting to know if we know where a grandfather or a grandmother or a great-granduncle or something is buried, so we can help them with their research.
In 2021, the Leavenworth County Historical Society organized the Greenwood Cemetery Preservation Commission to ensure the perpetual care and preservation of the cemetery and its valuable contribution to Leavenworth history. Coming up, celebrating St. Patrick's Day with traditional music.
It's an Irish tradition where anyone can join in the music. I'm Bradley Blackburn with the history of the Irish session on St. Patrick's Day and all year round.
And of course, the warm temps and the wind. Stick around. We're going to look at it coming up.
Help the Joplin PD purchase safety equipment. Watch Giving Day, April 2nd.
Driven by value.
Well, it turned out to be a beautiful Monday for us today, about 20 degrees warmer than what we saw over the weekend, but the winds, of course, returned. However, those winds are what help us really warm up during the afternoon. Great shot. This is Indigo Sky Casino and Resort. Indigo is just outside of Seneca, Missouri. Look at these temps, still up there. Most of us mid to upper 60s to near 70 degrees. We're not going to drop off too much more tonight, maybe 58, 60 degrees. But again, fire weather warning in effect for us tomorrow. This is due to the higher wind gust and the lower humidity, very similar to what we saw today. Still, the sustained winds, they've come down a little bit since the sun set, but still, we got south winds 10 to 20 miles per hour. We're going to have those gusts up there again tomorrow, very similar to what we saw today, 30 to 43-ish for most of the day. Winds stay strong tomorrow night, may even pick up a little bit tomorrow night. Then they switch out of the west, northwest, ushering in cooler air on Wednesday, but still, we have those gusts kind of 30 to 35. Humidity creeps up a little bit tomorrow, still low enough for that fire danger, 25, 30, 35%, and then they come up more as we get into Tuesday and then into Wednesday, which is good news. Have a few clouds kind of skirting through, so let's call it partly cloudy skies tonight. Behind me here, this is our next storm system building the western third of the country. In this system, it's going to be a strong system. Not quite as strong as what we had Friday, but strong enough to produce those winds. The difference is going to be we're not going to really have the moisture, so we're not going to see the severe weather like we saw on Friday and Saturday. Here comes the system. It will produce a band of snow on the backside, skirting mainly just to our north. We have another weak system drops in on Friday. Behind that, another strong storm system kicks out, upper level low a little farther north, so the winds won't be as bad as we get into Sunday. So 3 storm systems over the next 6 days. All right, by morning, have those mid and upper level clouds. Still, look at this, near 60. So we just don't drop off much tonight. A lot of mid and upper level clouds through the morning. Very thin, sun will still peek through. Mid 70s by noon. Let's go to our high at about 4 or 5 p.m. 78 in Nevada, 79 Anderson. Grand Lake 77, 80 in Fredonia. Winds stay strong tomorrow night. We have a dry line which heads toward us. Look at this. I mean, it's midnight tomorrow night. We're nearly 70 degrees. We back down into the upper 50s Wednesday morning. That's going to be our high. Then we'll fall into the 40s by Wednesday afternoon. We'll get some light showers that push in, especially along north of I-44. May even mix with a flake or two of snow once we get into Wednesday night, and then it will turn quite a bit colder. 61 in the morning, high temp 79. Again, don't burn tomorrow. Behind this system on Wednesday, it will be cooler as we go into Thursday. Highs only into the upper 50s, but the 60s return once we go into Friday. 79 Tuesday, 57 in the morning Wednesday. Wednesday is going to be raw and cold. Most of the day will sit into the 40s. 56 Thursday, 67 Friday. The weekend overall looks pretty good. We'll get some thunderstorms in here Sunday morning.
In the meantime, you said a flake or two of snow possible.
It's possible.
Not more than 2, though.
Maybe 3.
Possibly up to 3
Yes.
flakes. You just increased forecast by 50%. Thanks, Doug. So ahead, Pitt State women's basketball tries to advance to the Elite Eight. John Dales has the highlights from the Gorillas' Sweet 16 battle with Southwest Minnesota State. That's up next in sports.
Bread and Reds has get loaded cheesy breadsticks for only $6.
Pittsburgh State women's basketball plays its final home game of the year tonight. It's an NCAA regional final, which means a win would send the Gorillas to the Elite Eight for the first time since 2016. And of course, a loss means their season would be over. Pitt State women's basketball at home for a Sweet 16 matchup against Southwest Minnesota State in front of a packed crowd. Winner goes on to the Elite Eight. Now, the Gorillas fell behind in the first half of their first 2 NCAA tournament games, and tonight no different. First quarter, Bree Stoltzman drives to the lane and scores. Then a little bit later, Audrey Swanson connects from deep. Mustangs open up an 11-point lead at halftime. They're in front 49-38. But in the third quarter, here come the Gorillas. After a quiet first half, Grace Pyle hits a pull-up jumper. That brings them within 8. A little later, here's Pyle again, this time for 3, and the lead is down to 7. We're still in the third quarter, and Savannah Campbell powers her way inside, gets fouled, and scores. Lead is down to 5. Now to the fourth quarter, just over 2 minutes left to play, and Corinna Gerber hits this floater. Just like that, we're tied at 79. Next time down the floor, Pyle pulls up from the free throw line, and Pittsburgh State has the lead. Gorillas up by 3. Final seconds of the fourth quarter. Mustangs need a triple, and their 3-point attempt, the shot is blocked by Corinna Gerber, and that's it. The Gorillas are headed to the Elite Eight for the first time in 9 years. They take down Southwest Minnesota State 85-82 in the Central Regional Championship.
They've earned every bit of it. I tell them all the time, that they haven't done anything today. And I'll tell them that again in a couple days. They get to enjoy this for a little bit, and they get to really enjoy the reward for some of the efforts that they have put in lately. But I'm just so entirely proud of them.
Switching gears to college baseball, not the start to the season that Missouri Southern was hoping for, but this afternoon, one Lion earns an individual honor. Missouri Southern senior Kyle Moore is named MIAA Pitcher of the Week. And this comes after he doesn't allow a single run over 7 2/3 innings of work across 2 games. Those were against Drury and Arkansas Fort Smith. Moore allows just 4 hits, strikes out 3, and walks 2 while facing 26 batters. And with the Kansas High School basketball state championships wrapping up over the weekend, we get the long-awaited release of several all-conference teams. Here's a look at the girls' first and second team, all CNC honorees. Brad Herlocker from Girard, he's the coach of the year. His Lady Trojans, co-champions of the league with Colgan. Each of those 2 made their respective state tournaments. And the first team features Jakayla Davis from Colgan, Erica Boatman from Girard, Ellie Helms from Riverton, Galena's Riley Boys as well, and Marley Stout from Frontenac. Then on the boys' side, your coach of the year is Matt Meyer. He helped lead Galena to an undefeated regular season along with a 4th place finish at state. And speaking of Galena, not a surprise to see Jack Perry as a unanimous first team honoree. Frontenac's Vinnie Collier and Colgan's Brady Bedico, also unanimous first team selections. Scott Moore from Girard, Jacob Grant from Baxter Springs, they round out the first team. Back to the Gorillas women's team though. I was at that game tonight. They're down at halftime again for the 3rd game in a row, but you kind of feel yourself thinking, well, of course they're going to come back from this. They've done that all season.
They keep on doing it. They keep on doing it. It looked like a packed house.
Yeah, very much so, yeah.
What a thrilling game for those fans.
Yeah.
We'll be right back.
Get low 1.9% with an assist from
To salute Charles Stout Jr., a 4-state hero.
You know, you can't celebrate St. Patrick's Day without at least a little Irish green and the sounds of traditional Irish music. A lot of Irish bars across the country host traditional folk music sessions when anyone can join in. Bradley Blackburn has more.
At Paddy Riley's Music Bar in New York City, the sounds and sights of Irish music boom, not just on St. Patrick's Day, but year-round. And at least once a week at a session, anyone who wants can play or dance.
The idea is that we welcome all musicians to come in. If you're really good, we'll ask you to do a solo. If you're not that good, we'll keep you well away from microphone, but we won't discourage you.
Niall O'Leary performs and helps organize the session.
In Irish, it should be session. It's a very similar word.
One of dozens that happen weekly across New York. He's an architect and dance instructor who was raised in Ireland with music.
You'd increase your repertoire of tunes by just going to sessions and sitting in the back and playing along.
Some say sessions have their roots in Ireland's kitchens, back when neighbors would get together to play folk music. After World War II, the idea caught on in bars and pubs.
It spread through the years and across the globe.
I met with Captain Farrell and...
But Erica Martinez discovered it just around the corner. She lives near this bar, enjoyed the sessions, and was swept up, deciding to learn Irish dancing and join in.
One day I showed up, and I've been coming ever since.
For bar owner Desmond Murray, it's a business boost and a tradition that brings people together.
A lot of regulars, a lot of tourists. It's great to see people coming from all over, because you never know who you could meet.
On St. Patrick's Day, they say everyone's Irish.
We just do it because we love it.
And at a session, everyone is welcome. Bradley Blackburn, CBS News, New York.
By some estimates, St. Patrick's Day is the highest grossing day of the year for bars and pubs across the country. Or you can just stay home and watch your local news on St. Patrick's Day evening. Or we're probably on some TVs and some bars and pubs for that matter. So hello to all you partiers as well. I guess. You gonna do an Irish jig for us?
No, not at all. But I will give you some pretty good temperatures again tomorrow. The winds are going to be up there as well. We're still going to have gusts kind of 35 to about 43-ish, and then cooling down Wednesday and Thursday.
Final sports notes.
Well, Pitt State women's basketball, after they win, they move on to the Elite Eight in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania. The fake Pittsburgh's where they're going next week.
The other one, the one
with the H.
They spell it weird over there.
Yeah, they can't spell it correctly. Thanks for joining us. Don't forget the morning show starts at 5 a.m. and let's make it a great tomorrow.